Today we will be looking,
Today we will be looking, we'll be speaking with the Department of Revenue, going over the governor's proposed budget and all tax implications with that. Before we start, members, I just want to acknowledge that we have a few bills that have been sent to the tax committee that deal mainly with property taxes. And those will be sent to Senator Weber. We're going to ask you to take a look at those in your subcommittee that meets on Wednesdays. And those numbers are Senate files 2755, 2756, 2759, 2764, 2793, 2868, and 2929. Looks like you'll have a busy week, Senator Weber. All right. And so with that, members, our agenda item today, as I said, is the presentation of the governor's supplemental budget provisions. With that, we will welcome DOR Commissioner Robert Doty. Commissioner Doty, welcome to the committee. Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Absolutely. Good morning, Chair Nelson and members of the committee. My name is Robert Doty, and I am the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Revenue. And thank you for having us here this morning. We are delighted to be here to present the governor's proposed budget. With me here today is also our legislative director, Joanna Bayers. So with that, I'll get started. As you know, in the last few weeks, Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan have presented their supplemental budget. Today, we will give a brief overview of the priorities and investments made in the governor's proposal and provide more detail about the provisions included in the tax bill. We anticipate the legislative language for the tax bill to be introduced in the coming weeks. Given the responsible stewardship of Minnesota's budget, we have a remarkable opportunity to support the middle class, working families, and small businesses while also investing in public safety, healthcare, and education. Governor Walz understands that we can reduce costs and grow our economy while protecting the health and safety of Minnesotans and ensuring every child receives a high-quality education no matter their race or zip code. In Governor Walz's supplemental budget recommendations, the administration is prioritizing three areas. Number one, expanding economic opportunities for all Minnesotans. Number two, supporting children and families. And finally, protecting Minnesotans' health, safety, and well-being. The governor is also recommending investing in local jobs and projects through a proposed $2.7 billion in bonding projects. Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan have put forward investments to expand access to affordable housing and safer roads and bridges, prioritize workforce development and broaden high-speed internet access, support our farmers, and protect Minnesota's environment, ensure access to affordable health care, and strengthen families through paid leave programs. The governor's proposed budget to move Minnesota forward is $8.7 billion in the first biennium and $5.7 billion in the second. Of the $8.7 billion, $7.6 billion will come from the general fund, and the remaining $1.1 billion is expected to come from ARPA funds. The Walz-Flanagan administration understands that by supporting small businesses and expanding economic opportunity, ensuring children have an educational experience that values who they are and helps them reach their highest potential, and protecting Minnesotans' health and safety, this is a transformative opportunity to move Minnesota forward. Now I will review the payment and tax proposals that are part of the supplemental budget recommendations. First, under expanding economic opportunity, Governor Walz proposes distributing direct payments of up to $350 directly to Minnesotans. A married couple filing jointly or a head of household would receive a payment of $350. All other filers would receive a payment of $175. Taxpayers with income in the fourth tier would not be eligible to receive these payments. More than 2.7 million Minnesota households would receive a direct payment under this proposal. These payments would be sent to qualifying households who filed a 2020 Minnesota income tax return or a property tax return. refund. Excuse me. This proposal costs $710 million. Under supporting children and families, Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan are working to make Minnesota the best state in the country to raise a family. The governor's proposal includes important changes to refundable income tax credits that Minnesota families rely on: Minnesota's Child and Dependent Care Credit and the K-12 Education Credit. So first, the Child and Dependent Care Credit. This proposal recognizes the challenges Minnesota parents face in paying for quality, affordable childcare by increasing the income threshold and maximum credit amount for Minnesota's refundable Child and Dependent Care Credit, which will lower taxes for more Minnesotans. Minnesota's Child and Dependent Care Credit is based on the federal credit. A percentage of unreimbursed employment-related child or dependent care expenses can be claimed. Households claim costs for before and after school programs, daycare expenses, and preschool. The credit rate depends on income and ranges from 35% of expenses for families with incomes of $15,000 or less to 20% of expenses for families with incomes over $43,000. Unlike the federal credit, Minnesota's credit is refundable. The proposal makes 3 changes to the credit. First, the income threshold at which the maximum state credit begins to phase out would increase from $55,300 to $70,000. This would make about 21,000 more Minnesota households eligible for the credit, with an average reduction in tax of $271. Second, the proposal would temporarily increase Minnesota's credit to equal 130% of the federal credit, not to exceed actual expenses for tax years 2022 and 2023. This would impact about 51,000 tax returns in tax year 22, and the average reduction in tax would be about $161. Third, under current law, a credit is allowed for a child born in the tax year, even if there are no qualifying expenses. The credit is only available to married taxpayers filing a joint return. About 3,900 returns are expected to receive about $2.1 million in newborn credits this year, with an average credit of about $530. The governor's proposal would update the credit to be available for taxpayers regardless of marital status. Under this proposal, about 2,600 more taxpayers will be eligible for the credit, increasing the total amount of credits by an additional $1.4 million. The increased credit is effective for tax years 22 and 23 only under this proposal. The increased phase-out threshold and the expanded credit for a child born in the tax year would be permanent beginning in 2022. The total cost of these changes are $17.9 million for fiscal 22-23 and $26.9 million for fiscal 24-25. Next, the expansion of the K-12 education credit. Under current law, a taxpayer is allowed a refundable income tax credit equal to 75% of eligible education expenses for a qualifying child in kindergarten through 12th grade. The maximum credit is $1,000 for each child. Eligible expenses include fees for instruction outside the regular school day or school year, expenses for textbooks or instructional materials, and transportation costs paid to others. Under current law, the maximum credit is phased out beginning at household incomes of $33,500. The phase-out range is increased by $2,000 for each additional child. The income thresholds are not indexed for inflation. Under this proposal, the phase-out threshold is increased to $70,000 in tax year 2022. The threshold is adjusted for inflation beginning in tax year 23. The phase-out rates and maximum credit amount are unchanged. The proposal also changes the measure of income from household income to federal adjusted gross income. Household income includes income from all sources, both taxable and non-taxable, and is a broader measure of income. Changing to federal adjusted gross income simplifies the calculation of the credit for taxpayers and aligns it with other tax benefits that use federal adjusted gross income to measure eligibility. In tax year 2019, K-12 education credits totaled about $7.2 million on 28,000 returns. Under the proposal, an additional 39,000 returns are expected to qualify for the credit, and the average credit would be about $300. The proposal is estimated to cost $12.2 million in fiscal 22 and 23 and $25.7 million in fiscal 24-25. Under supporting children and families, expansion of the working family credit for I-10s. The state's working family credit provides households with a refundable tax credit to help with the many financial constraints they face. This program, which also exists at the federal level, is an important source of financial stability for low and moderate income working families and children. The governor's proposal would allow taxpayers with an individual taxpayer identification number, or an I-10, to qualify for the working family credit if they meet the income and other eligibility requirements for the credit. Under current law, the taxpayer generally must be eligible for the federal earned income tax credit in order to receive the state working family credit. Taxpayers filing an income tax return with an I-10 are not eligible for the federal credit and therefore cannot receive the working family credit. I-10s are numbers that are issued by the Internal Revenue Service to individuals who are not eligible for Social Security numbers but are required to file taxes. They are used exclusively for the purpose of filing taxes. These workers pay Minnesota taxes but do not receive the credit. By including these Minnesotans, we would reduce poverty and economic hardship for these families and their children and contribute to a more equitable tax system. This update would include individuals who use an I-10 to file a tax return starting in tax year 2022. Approximately 8,200 new households would qualify for the working family credit with an average credit of $1,300. This proposal is estimated to cost $9.8 million in fiscal 22-23 and $20.8 million in 24-25. Similarly, the governor proposes allowing taxpayers using an I-10s number to qualify for homestead status. Homestead status conveys several benefits to homeowners, including lower tax rates and qualification for the property tax refund. The intent of homestead classification is to recognize that homeowners bring value and stability to cities, school districts, and counties. Current law requires taxpayers to have a Social Security number in order to obtain homestead status. The governor's proposal will provide greater parity between individuals with an I-10 and a Social Security number. Approximately 1,800 taxpayers will be eligible for homestead status under this proposal. The proposal is estimated to cost about $3.6 million in fiscal 24-25. Now with that, Madam Chair, I will now turn the presentation over to our Legislative Director, Joanna Bayers.
Thank you, Commissioner Doty. Ms. Bayers, welcome to the committee. If you'd kindly introduce yourself for the record, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Joanna Bayers, and I'm the Legislative Director at the Minnesota Department of Revenue. The Wallace Flanagan budget to move Minnesota forward includes innovative solutions to lower costs for consumers and invest in the lifeblood of Minnesota communities, its small businesses. That's why the governor recommends allocating an additional $7 million for the Angel Tax Credit in FY23 and $10 million in FY24-25. The proposal also extends the sunset to end of the tax year 2030. The program is Minnesota's primary economic development tool to assist early stage businesses engaged in technological innovation by providing a tax credit to investors or investment funds that make an equity investment. The Angel Tax Credit Program has resulted in over $498 million in private investment in Minnesota startups, leveraged by the state's issuance of $120 million in tax credits to angel investors. Investing in this program prioritizes economic growth and builds on Minnesota's existing ecosystem of high-tech, high-innovation companies including the state's clean energy technology and biotech bioscience businesses. The Angel Tax Credit will help communities across the state create wealth by incentivizing investment in companies with founders that are women, veterans, minorities, and those with headquarters in greater Minnesota. The Wallace-Flanagan administration also understands the importance of supporting our local units of government across the state of Minnesota. Governor Walz proposes streamlining the sales and use tax exemption for building, construction, or reconstruction materials, supplies, and equipment for buildings and facilities used primarily by local governments and nonprofits. Current law allows a sales tax exemption for use if purchased directly by the local government or nonprofit. There's also an administrative rule that allows a contractor or subcontractor to acquire construction materials exempt from tax under specific conditions. This proposal streamlines the exemption to apply to materials purchased by a contractor. Contractors, subcontractors, and builders would pay the tax at the time materials are purchased, and the local governments and nonprofits would submit a tax refund claim to the Department of Revenue. The proposal is effective for sales and purchases made after July 1st, 2021. The proposal costs $100.3 million in FY 22-23 and $149.8 million in FY 24-25. The governor also recommends establishing 2 new aid programs to create stable funding resources. The first is the new public safety aid for cities, tribal governments, and counties with police or sheriff departments. The $100 million annual investment in communities will be distributed based on population. The second new aid program establishes a reliable funding source for soil water conservation districts with a $22 million annual appropriation. This aid would replace the funding soil water conservation districts received from the Clean Water Fund. Investments will support local projects, drive economic growth, assist in keeping Minnesota healthy and safe, and protecting the state's beauty and natural resources. Additionally, Governor Walz's budget proposals conforming with many of the tax changes made by the federal government over the past 3 years. At least 6 federal bills with tax changes have been enacted since our last general update of state tax laws. Adopting the federal changes for businesses and individuals provides an investment in Minnesota's tax system to ensure that it's stable, predictable, and less complex. Much of the state tax code is based on federal calculation of income, so conforming with these federal tax changes will allow a benefit to flow through state taxes. The federal changes we recommend conforming with include extension of provisions for depreciating equipment, income exclusions for certain federal relief loans, natural disaster relief provisions, and an exclusion of discharge indebtedness on principal residences, plus many more changes. The federal update will cost around $94.8 million in FY 22-23 and about $30.5 million in FY 24-25. As I previously noted, there have been 6 federal bills containing tax changes enacted since the last time Minnesota updated its tax statutes. The 2021 state tax bill conformed to a few provisions, but the state tax code is not in general conformity with the federal tax code. By tax year 2022, our state tax code will be 4 years out of conformity, which is the longest the state has been out of conformity in decades. As a result of this challenging situation for taxpayers and tax preparers, we considered an alternative approach to conformity to relieve the administrative burden on taxpayers, tax preparers, and the agency. This proposal includes an approach aimed at both getting to our state tax code in alignment with the Internal Revenue Code and simplifying filing for individuals and businesses. We propose a one-time catch-up adjustment that will happen on the 2022 return. Taxpayers with a retroactive change in taxable income would be required to make a special adjustment on their 2022 income tax or corporate franchise tax return. Retroactive conformity, which has been the traditional approach in previous years, typically means amended or adjusted returns. Because the federal changes stretch back multiple years, some taxpayers would have to file an amended return. Using a one-time prospective adjustment on a tax return that accounts for prior tax years provides a tax benefit without the additional burden and confusion and costs of amended or adjusted returns. As I mentioned, this is just one approach for consideration. We understand there is no perfect solution, but we want to start the conversation. We have started engaging with stakeholders and asking for feedback on this approach. And we are committed to continuing this conversation once we have language ready to share. Furthermore, the supplemental budget also includes an update to senior property tax deferral program and an update to the agricultural product definition of hemp. The governor recommends increasing the income threshold to the senior citizen property tax deferral program from $60,000 to $75,000, beginning with property tax payable in 2023. The income cap has not been increased since 1995. This cap has caused seniors to become ineligible for the program due to cost of living adjustments. It's estimated that the state will reimburse counties by $180,000 in FY 24-25 for this program. Additionally, the governor recommends adding hemp to the list of what is considered an agricultural product. Under this proposal, land used to produce hemp would qualify as Class 2A homestead or non-homestead agricultural land. Minnesota's hemp production industry has changed over the last few years, but the property tax statutes have not been updated to reflect those changes. This proposal is needed to make sure classification of land used to produce hemp is correctly and uniformly done throughout the state. This proposal will increase state paid property tax refunds by $70,000 in FY 25. That, Madam Chair, members, that concludes the governor's tax recommendations. I will turn this over to Commissioner Doty for the conclusion of this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bears. Commissioner Doty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Governor Walz and Revenue stand ready to work closely with the legislature this session to support local jobs and projects, expanding economic opportunities for all Minnesotans, invest in our children and families, and protect Minnesotans' health, safety, and well-being. Once again, I want to thank Chair Nelson and members of the committee for the opportunity to present the governor's supplemental budget and tax bill today. We look forward to a productive partnership and dialogue throughout session. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Ms. Bears, for the good analysis of the governor's budget.
Currently, this committee.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. That's what this committee will be doing for the next several weeks, is looking at how we can best use this $7.7 billion projected surplus. Actually, it will probably be $8 billion by the time we get this upcoming forecast. And how can we best use that to support Minnesotans, to empower Minnesota families, and to drive economic growth? And that's what we'll be debating at this table. And my question is, of the proposals that are in the governor's budget regarding taxes, the tax proposals, how much of those, which of those are permanent ongoing tax relief? It seemed there's a lot of perhaps one time. I was just wondering if you could identify the permanent ongoing tax relief in this budget proposal that would empower Minnesotans. Commissioner?
I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Am I on? Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. So I think a couple things that that we would mention. One is that the proposed changes to the child independent care credit, those would be part of those would be permanent, and those are definitely ones that we can definitely mention. And then I also think the changes to the K-12 education credit as well would be, some of those would be permanent as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. So those would be ongoing, not tax relief, but ongoing credits to those particular individuals who would qualify.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Oh, okay, thank you. And then might have some members here that have questions too, but before we get to that, just one brief question, just kind of a cleanup really from last year. Could you give us an update on the PPP, those tax adjustments, and when were those, are they all completed? Have all Minnesota taxpayers received their tax refunds as due from the legislative action last year? What is the status of that? If you could briefly just update us on that, and then we'll go to further questions.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, Madam Chair, committee. So we processed, the Department of Revenue processed over 540,000 adjustments that included UI and the PPP changes on them. At this point, essentially all of those have, for the most part, been done, and we have issued more than 300 million refunds and or reductions in tax liability for taxpayers over that time. So at this point, there's only I think there's less than roughly 2,000 that are being worked right now, and those are ones that are just have a lot of different changes to them as well. So, but essentially, the lot of them have definitely been issued, and we've worked directly with taxpayers and informing them, as well as everyone who that we also work with as well. So we've been keeping taxpayers and the legislature informed as to where we are in that process.
Thank you, Commissioner. Senator Bach.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and Commissioner, thanks for joining us. Commissioner, I'm concerned about the level of tax relief in the out years. It seems like we have a historic opportunity to provide some tax relief for Minnesotans. And when I look at the spreadsheet for the next biennium, if you take out the aids and credits that you put in, the soil and water conservation districts and the aid to cities, it looks to me like there's only about $125 million a year. $125 million per year in actual tax relief going forward. I just want you to know, Commissioner, I think that's a little skinny considering the historic revenue surplus that we have. And then, oops, I want you to see me here.
Right.
Someone wants you to see me anyway.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, the other question I have is, I don't know, I'm a little confused why we would just rain money on cities that maybe don't need it. The $100 million aid to cities, public safety aid you call it, I'm hoping there's some kind of a need test to that. Otherwise, we're just sending money out per capita to cities. We don't know if we're going to get any property tax relief. We don't know if they need help. I don't quite understand. Did you consider at all just putting that $100 million into the local government aid formula where we have a needs-vested need approach? Did you consider LGA rather than just a new category that sends money to cities that maybe don't even need it?
Commissioner.
Madam Chair, Senator Bach, thanks for that question. And I would say that at this point, the focus has definitely been on public safety. And, I think we've all heard about issues around public safety throughout the state. And I think that this money is an attempt to allow local governments to be able to decide what is best for their local communities. In some cases, that may be increasing the numbers of police and sheriff. It may be other programs that relate best to their community. So I think the governor is really focusing on allowing local communities to make those calls, and potentially there will be some property tax relief that comes as a result of that. But again, I think that's the key is allowing those local governments to be able to make some of those decisions.
Well, Madam Chair, I don't want to take too much time, so I'm only going to ask one more question today. Commissioner, I see you proposed extending the angel investment credit. I was the author of that in 2010, but does the department have any information on kind of how effective that's been? What kind of outcomes are we getting out of the angel credit? Because I'd really like to see that, because the credit program that I like is the historic building tax credit, and I noticed somehow that got overlooked in your proposal. That's going to expire. So I'm just kind of wondering if you had some constraints about what you could do financially. Why would you have picked the angel credit rather than the historic building tax credit?
Commissioner.
Madam Chair, Senator, I'm going to ask Joanna Bears, would you want to jump in on that question, please? I think we do have information on the effectiveness, what has happened with the angel tax credit.
Ms. Bears.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Bach. I appreciate your comments regarding the angel investment credit and the historic state tax credit. We can get more information about the effectiveness. You know, we do have that from my testimony that I stated that there's 490 million that was invested from privatized businesses after the issuance of, I believe, 130 million from state tax credits. With the historic tax credit, we do think that's an important program as well. I think it's down to the overall budget and the investments and priorities of the governor and where he was looking to prioritize. But we're happy to talk more about the historic tax credit because we do know that's an important program. Helps a lot of folks make sure that their historic buildings are kept up to date. So,
Thank you, Ms. Beers. Senator Dietzick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to be back to the tax committee, and thank you to the commissioner and DOR for the budget presentation. I think it was very helpful. I think it's a good start and a good conversation. I know I'm looking forward to more conversations going forward because I do have some questions on, we've had a lot of federal dollars poured into the budget, not just our state, but across the country. And I don't know what those dollars, as they dry up, how that impacts people's spending going forward. I know people are nervous about the economy somewhat. It kind of changes daily. And so we don't know how that impacts their spending habit going forward and what that will do to our budget. So I appreciate kind of the balance on some tax relief going forward and some one-time spending. As far as the public safety budget, I don't know what you're calling it, public safety aid, I'll just call it that. I think that from what I've heard in talking to the League of Cities in different cities, and I'll be honest, not my city, that people, you know, they're experiencing inflation the same, and a lot of those communities are having a hard time hiring people. And then I've heard from the other caucus how hard it is to hire law enforcement. I think that's one of their top initiatives. So I think this is another way to give them money to hire law enforcement across the state. If that's, you know, I think we do have some public safety issues to discuss. And so I think that is another way of just looking at how do we help cities. They are impacting with inflation and they're having a hard time hiring people. So I think this might be a good discussion point. I do agree with Senator Bach that I do like the historic tax credit. So I would like to see kind of the effectiveness, how that does. I think that provides local jobs in local communities. It helps revitalize local communities. And also, if those buildings are torn down, it's just going into the landfill. So if we can remodel them and upgrade them, I think that's helpful. So I do appreciate Senator Bach's question on that, and I too also support that and will be pushing for that. So look forward to a conversation hopefully on that in this committee going forward. But again, I want to thank you for the presentation and look forward to working with the department as we figure out a tax bill. Thank you.
I thank you, Senator Dietzick. Are there any other questions? Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to comment to the commissioner as it relates to the refunds that are scheduled to come out, or are supposed to come out for the PP loan forgiveness that was made. If there's only 2,000 left, evidently most of them must be in my district based on the phone calls I'm getting. I just would like to encourage the department to get those done sooner rather than later, because quite frankly, the farmers that are due their refunds in a couple of weeks will have to pay their net tax again, so by March 1st. So anyway, just wanted to put that comment out there, Commissioner.
Thank you, Senator Weber. Senator Gazelka.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Commissioner. I just want to just a comment. As we're talking about the tax relief that we want to do, I just, having the governor call them Walls checks is really, it's the people's money. And as we're looking forward to what we're going to do, Madam Chair, I'm hoping that we can work with the administration, but that we work towards much more permanent tax cuts. I know that you're getting rid of Social Security income tax. So as we're trying to figure out what path is best, it's the people's money, and let's figure out how to get as much back to them as we can.
Thank you, Senator Gazelka. Any further comments or questions? I think I don't see any other hands. Commissioner and Ms. Beers, I do want to just emphasize really the great disappointment that when we have this opportunity of historic surpluses, cash flow account is full, our reserve account is full as well, over $2 billion in that. that it's just, I think it's a missed opportunity to really right-size our tax code on a permanent basis. No matter which indice you look at, Minnesota is a high-tax state, often leading the nation in different taxes. And so I think we're going to have a lot of discussions here under the Capitol Dome this year. I'm hoping that we will use this unprecedented, historic surplus to actually right-size our tax code and empower Minnesotans. And of course, then drive economic growth, because we know that it is economic growth that drives the tax revenue that supports our governments. So thank you for the presentation, Commissioner, Ms. Bears. We look forward to a good discussion here under the Capitol Dome. And with that, members, I see no other questions. Our committee is adjourned. We will be meeting next on Monday, which is, Tuesday, February 15th. In the meantime, have a great Valentine's Day. The committee is adjourned.